Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel, Chili 1911. Today I've got another vintage fishing reel to show you. This is the Garcia Mitchell 300. In 1948, a young French engineer named Maurice Joachim, I may not be pronouncing his name right, he was from the Avray Valley in France, invented the world's first spinning reel as we know it, and this is it. It's the Mitchell 300. So from just around the World War II era till 1990, the Mitchell 300 series was made in France, and from starting in 1990, the 300 was sourced out to Asian manufacturers. Up till 1956, there was a 6 or 7 digit serial number with no lettered prefix. And this one, it's very hard to read. You can find the serial number right here where it connects to the rod on that stem there. Not sure if you can barely make out a number there. This particular one is a 7 digit. So in April of 1957, the reels were first inscribed Garcia Mitchell 300, which is what this one is. And the European vendors were simply inscribed Mitchell 300. They didn't have the word Garcia on them. The 300 has a sister called the 301. It was a left-handed model, the exact same reel. It was just made for left-handers. It's an all-metal body. The body covers and the rotors are all metal construction. Garcia was the American importer, and some of the earlier models, they didn't say Garcia, and then eventually, I guess 1957 is what I said, is when they started inscribing Garcia on the reels. In 77, the 300A series was introduced. So I'm thinking this particular reel is probably earlier than a 77 model. It's kind of hard to decipher on these. There were millions of them made. I also said up to 56, there was a 6 or 7 digit serial number with no lettered prefix, which mine is a 7 digit serial number with no lettered prefix. But that says up till 1956. Well, the 300A came out in 77, so there's a time gap there, I guess you could say, between 56 and 77. A few other ways you can try to date these reels are by the crank handle. There were probably 5 or 6 different versions. The way this one's made is it's an earlier version. You've got a pin right there that holds the crank to that knob. The way this is knurled, you can tell. Don't really pay attention to my crank knob in and of itself, it's I think that's been replaced at some point. It should be a flatter style crank knob, kind of like on a Johnson. The anti-reverse lever changed a little bit through the years. This is a later version. This one is a made in France. It's hard to tell, but it's right there. See if I can get the light to focus. Now, a lot of these, like I said, there were millions made, so it's hard to really decipher as far as date codes and stuff go. But there are little features different ones have, like, you know, like I was talking about the crank knob and the shaft itself. But you got to keep in mind, Mitchell, you know, they came out with a newer model. They would use up old parts like side plates or whatever they had still in stock on later models until all those old parts are used up. So you got to keep that in mind too. As far as on the spool here and on the bail, a lot of your modern spin reels will have like a roller right there. This one doesn't. It's just a, probably when it was new, it was probably polished metal right there to make it slick. Your lock right here. So you can see this divot right there. It catches that lock. And that would hold your bail open. So then when you cranked on it, that lock would release and free up the spool. The anti-reverse on this reel is excellent. Flip that on. I don't know if the camera will do justice, but if I be real quiet, you might be able to hear each click just barely turning. And that's the reverse. So I'm gonna go forward and click right there. I don't know if you could hear that, and it's not moving. I mean, it's, some modern reels have like a almost a probably 1/8 of an inch play in them. This one, I mean, it's there. It's not moving. But a lot of these were, I would imagine, probably hand fitted and built back then in the 40s and 50s, even on up into the 70s. But anyway, that's just a quick rundown. I don't know a lot about these Mitchells because, like I said, there were so many of them. It's hard to really tell, but what you may or may not have as far as dates and stuff like that go. But anyway, that was a quick look at the Garcia Mitchell 300, the world's first spinning reel. Appreciate y'all watching. Catch you on the next one. Chili 1911 out.